Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville Citizens Night and Council Work Session. Today is Thursday, January 8th, approximately 7 p.m. If we'd all kindly rise for the Lord's Prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, we normally don't do roll call, but we do have two council persons that are missing. That's Mr. Wilson and Dr. Greasock, and both have come down, I guess, with that flu or bug or cold, one or the other, but there's still five of us here. And Mr. Dice, I think I'd like you to make a couple of comments before we get started.
Okay. As we know, as many of us know, there are two items on the agenda tonight, or actually there's more than two, but two subjects on the agenda. One is the overlay district for the billboards, and the second is a series, I think, of a few conditional uses. Is that right? Three. Ordinarily, at Citizens Night, we would have comments on those kinds of things. We're actually going to be conducting those hearings tonight, so I'm going to suggest to you that council is not going to entertain any public testimony at this time during the meeting, but later in the meeting, when the time comes up for the overlay district and the conditional use district, will have public comment at that time. I'm also going to suggest to all of the audience that what we'll do, since both of these have a public persona to them, and we do have a stenographic record being made, we'll keep a stenographic record of both of these and incorporate and combine both of the records into one for both the public hearing portion of the overlay and the conditional use. So one will be combined into the other for purposes of a record for the future. So everybody knows that. We'll address then the rules that will follow for those two items at a later date in the meeting after this time when it comes up on the agenda. Okay? Okay, and the mayor asked me, there has been always a policy here, and the mayor has followed this for some time. Under the Sunshine Law, it's clear that there are certain residents and taxpayers who have a right to testify and give testimony at public hearings and at conditional use hearings. There is no right for this council to hear testimony of residents that don't live and don't pay tax in the municipality. Now, there's going to be a little bit of leeway there, but not much. My suggestion is that if there are individuals who want to offer testimony that don't live in the community or don't pay taxes in the community, that they're limited to, let's say, 30 seconds to say I'm against it or I'm for it. I'm not going to sit here, or I don't believe this council wants to hear from residents that are outside the municipality testifying, at least that's what I've been told, concerning these two matters. This is really a resident, this is a matter under the Sunshine Law it's indigenous to our community. That doesn't hold true for any resident who does pay taxes or who does live in the community. So those will be some of the basic ground rules that we're going to get into. Once we start the process, I'm going to ask that all the individuals that testify be sworn in at one time. Then I want to make sure that everybody's name is on the record, so we have those names and addresses before you speak. So we're going to do it that way. That finishes it?
Yep.
Okay, that takes us to the citizens' comment on any items, or right? This is open-ended.
Yeah.
Except those two subjects.
Right. Now, there's four individuals that have signed up, and I'm not sure if they had or they wanted to wait till the public hearing, and that would be Michael DeWita, David Denko, Janice Olszewski, and Ezra Lippincott. Anyone? Is this just for the public hearing part?
If the reason you signed up was for the billboards, I would suggest that you wait for about 5 or 10 minutes until we get to it. I mean, we're not going to do it twice. I don't want it back and forth. There is a time to give testimony and give your public input. It's at that time, and it's on the next page of the agenda. So has anybody got anything else they want to speak about, those 4 people, besides those 2 subjects?
Okay, well, come on up, sir, and please sign in and state your name for the record and
Yes.
that you live in Monroeville.
I am not a resident of Monroeville. I'm a resident of Trafford Borough.
It's your call.
Sir, I'll give you my business card. I do not, again.
This is in regards,
Why don't you do yourself a favor? Hold the sign up for a second so we can see it.
this has to do with the integrity of the businesses that do business within this
Well, that
municipality.
you get your business card. I mean, this is not the place for that.
Yeah, that's correct, sir. Here.
All right.
You certainly can make an appointment with me.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
My office and cell number's on here,
All right, thank you.
okay?
Thank you. Excuse me.
Once again, I'll leave it open for any, come on down. Please sign in and state your name for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of
Don't
council.
touch the microphone, please. They're all
Okay,
preset.
all right.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Don't look behind the curtain.
members of council, Manager Little, Solicitor Dice, good evening to all of you. My name is John Yakum. I am a resident of Monroeville. Mr. Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to address you on council this evening. I want to start off by wishing everybody, Mr. Mayor, council, a happy new year.
Same to you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, last month, during a special meeting, council voted to reallocate $1 million away from OPEB. I know many residents were not aware of this, and many are still not. This occurred because of a budget shortfall in 2014. Mr. Mayor, can you tell me if the money budgeted for the 2015 OPEB will be used for that purpose this year?
Mr. Little, please.
Sean, you want to address this question?
You know, Mr. Yakin, when you spoke last, I believe it was last month at this time, about the OPEB fund, one thing that didn't come up in the conversation was that the fund has been funded through our general fund from January of 2014 through December 31st of 2014. The $1 million that was taken from the OPEB fund was nothing more than reimbursing a general fund expense. Though it seems like money was taken from it, the fund was being supported out of our general fund during the entire fiscal year.
So why the necessity for the transfer?
Necessity.
And also, why wasn't I told that last month when I brought it up?
I can't speak to why you weren't told that last month. It's because Tim was speaking and I did not want to interrupt him. Maybe that was the only answer I can give you. But the reality of it is, that is what happened. The fund was being funded to the tune of $1.157 million for the fiscal year 2014. $1 million was taken out as a precautionary measure moving through the first quarter of 2015 in the event that maybe the possibility of our expenditures would exceed our revenues.
So $1.57 million was sent to OPEB?
$1.157 million
1.157. So
was taken out of our general fund to pay for the health care benefits of the people that are retired. The $1 million was
Is
a
that the
reimbursement
OPEB
of
or is
those
that-
monies. That's for OPEB. That's for OPEB exclusively.
okay, so is there actually an OPEB fund that
Yes.
that money was moved into? Or is it a place that it was sent, the checks were sent to?
The checks were sent to the health care provider for the benefit of the retirees out of our general fund.
Okay, my understanding was OPEB was a separate from the $1 million OPEB that was supposed to transfer was for future benefits, not current benefits. It's like paying into an insurance plan, paying into a life insurance plan.
The OPEB fund is designed and established to help defray the cost of providing benefits for those that have retired from the municipality. The monies were expended out of our general fund, as they have been for long before I came here, to reimburse our general fund and to also provide some leeway in this quarter. The $1 million was taken from OPEB and put into our general fund.
Okay. Thank you. During the special meeting, there apparently was some questions by members of this council about tax increases for fiscal year 2013 and 2014, specifically fiscal year 2013. Mr. Wilson had asked some questions about that, and I wanted to go over what happened in 2013. Fiscal year 2013 budget was on the heels of a mandatory reassessment by Allegheny County. Because of this, the real estate tax increases actually occurred with 3 steps. The first step was to reset the previous rate to adjust for the new assessment. This took the rate from 2.2 mils to 1.8 mils. Council then voted to increase the 1.8 to 1.884. This was the 5% windfall that the reassessment permitted. Then council had to go to court to raise the taxes to its final 2.431 mils. Both the 1.8 to 1.884 and the 1.884 to 2.431 tax increases were approved by council members Grieshock, Johns, and Duncan, and signed by you, Mr. Mayor. To suggest that some other council passed these increases is really dishonest. The senior members of this council, along with the mayor, could have easily stopped one or both of the 2013 tax increases. So I wanted to set that record straight as far as what Mr. Wilson said, that a different, who had control over the tax increase in 2013.
But you need more than 3 votes, John. You need to have 4 or more, and you
That's
only counted
correct.
for 3.
But those 3 could have stopped it.
No,
Yes.
Wow.
Easy.
4-3.
No. It was 6-1.
I'm saying it could have been 4-3.
Right. So if Grieshock, Duncan, and Johns voted against it, Mr. Erb already voted against it.
Well,
So that would have killed the tax
Can I
increase.
just
Number
ask,
2,
what are we doing?
well,
John?
Mr. Wilson didn't recall that, and I wanted to make it part of the record that the 3 senior members of this council and you could have stopped that tax increase in 2013.
I have no vote on this,
So,
council.
but you do have a veto, because it is a financial issue. That is one place where you can veto.
And, go ahead, John. I'm not going to debate it.
Headache. Sit down.
Mr. Mayor, once again, our community is in the news, and it is not for something positive. And once again, we hear the same old rhetoric that various crimes in our community are isolated incidents. I don't know whether to be concerned that our public officials are unaware of what is really happening in our community, or if they are intentionally keeping us, the public, in the dark. The various crimes of the last few weeks are not isolated incidents. The robbery at one of our grocery stores occurred in broad daylight. The mall incident made the national news. And within days of increased security at the mall, we had more armed robberies, and at least one of those was particularly violent. These incidents reinforce that something is not working in our public safety. Many of the positive changes made to address public safety by Chief Pasquarella and Manager McKinney have been reversed. Our community is not as safe as it could or should be. And while you, Mr. Mayor, Chief Cole, Manager Little, and council did not commit the crimes, by your positions, you are responsible. You are responsible for public safety in this town.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I gotta laugh. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Mr. Johns, who do you think is responsible for public safety?
You should be ashamed of yourself.
All right, folks, let's
You
just...
talk about the apprehension of the criminals, what was done
Counsel,
right.
Counsel.
John, I've served more time doing public safety in this town than you'll ever dream of.
Okay?
25 and a half years as a police officer, I was out there doing it.
Counsel,
Appreciate it.
Counsel, I'm asking you, let's...
It's just 5 minutes, I'll tell him to sit down.
So fix it. What do you
Let
want to
him-
do?
I'll have a comment when he's done.
Fix it.
What
do you wanna do?
We had some things that were changed.
Wait, fix it. What do you want to do?
Well, let's go through the list of things that were reversed.
No, let's fix what's in front of us.
5 minutes. Tell him to sit down. I'm gonna get up and leave.
We went from
A
budget
bad
of
guy
48
comes
to
out,
46.
here on a pat bus they teletype all their friends and they go to the mall and start a ruckus. If you had all 47 police officers down there, wouldn't have stopped it.
So we should have police down there to stop this kind
I
of problem?
didn't say that. That's up
I
to
don't
the mall.
understand.
That's up to the mall.
It's within the municipality. Monroeville has responsibility
Greg.
throughout the entire
Why don't
municipality.
you stop this? 5 minutes is over.
We do. So what do you want to do?
Yeah, but you got Mr. Harvey engaging him.
It's not up to me to
First you
decide,
complain about
first of all.
taxes, then you complain about manpower in the police department.
That's right.
Okay, well, last time I checked, the police cost money.
Well, that's correct, Mr. Harvey, but we spent a whole lot of money last year on non-public safety issues, which showed that your
You mean like
priorities-
legal fees and stuff?
Well, it showed your priorities were on, related to other issues.
You mean like legal fees and stuff?
I don't believe the legal fees were actually very large. I've done the right-to-know requests, and the
Oh.
legal fees were a very small amount.
Well,
So
okay,
unless the right-to-knows were incorrect,
well, what do you consider small?
I believe the last check I saw was around $5,000.
Yeah, but what's the total?
I saw $5,000 for the legal fees.
No,
Oh,
you're
it's
off.
way more than that.
Wow.
As far as the lawsuits. are
Okay, but
concerned.
let's get back to the public safety thing, because that's really what we're talking about here.
Okay?
What do you want to do?
Well, I would like to use last year's tax increase to improve public safety as opposed to paying off political friends, purchasing equipment.
Paying off.
What?
Political
Whoa.
friends.
What?
You
Paying
better.
off who?
That's
Be careful
that's a
saying-
big accusation.
Wait a minute, paying off who?
Well, we had a council member who received, a council member's wife received a significant pay increase. We saw non-union employees receive significant pay increases. We saw a hiring, there's 5 or 6 people that were hired that were not public safety related.
Well, you still have to run, public safety or not, the rest of the borough still ticks every day.
But public safety has to be the priority.
So you-
Senior centers, libraries, secretaries, those kinds of things can wait.
Good, continue, John, with your
Okay.
statement.
Unfortunately, this council used last year's staggering tax increase to hire non-essential employees, increase pay to political friends, and purchase equipment that other communities would find silly in the financial situation that we are in. So while our current government reduced the size of the police department, the size of non-essential services increased. These actions certainly do not appear that public safety is a priority. During 2013, you, Mr. Mayor, and several members of council did everything you could to stop the improvements within the police department. During 2014, many of these improvements were reversed. And now 2015, I am hearing about proposed reductions in shift minimums, and more frightening, I am hearing that there is a proposal to make our police department partially part-time. Mr. Mayor, are either of these changes being discussed?
Continue, I'll answer at the end.
These very public robberies and the melee at the mall have deep ramifications. Because of the perception, good people are afraid to shop in our town. Besides being bad for merchants, this could mean loss of jobs, and it certainly means a shrinking tax base. These crimes also have a detrimental effect on our home property values, and all of this adversely affects our schools. The public that I know does not want their public officials to treat us like children. Calling these incidents isolated incidents treats us as though we are being intentionally kept in the dark. The public and the business community that I know wants to help make this community safe. But we need to know that our government officials at least recognize that we have a problem. For the better part of 4 years, Mr. Mayor, you and I, and members of this council, have gone round and round about public safety. I think it is time that you recognize that we have a problem and offer solutions, not a denial. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anybody else who would like to address council at this time? Sir, please state your name for the record.
Oh, I was writing down. Daniel Marston.
Okay, and-
I'm in Monroeville.
Okay. Sir, would your issue happen to do with any of the public hearings that we have coming up?
No.
Or- Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'd come up later then.
Oh, no, come,
No,
continue.
now's the right time.
Oh, okay. All
Okay,
right.
we
No.
weren't sure. Because I saw you come in later and we had some announcement on that, but go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. No problem. No, my name is Daniel Marston. I'm from Monroeville. I'm a member of the Human Needs and Resources Board, and I was here because every several months, we're supposed to come up and give a presentation about what we're doing and let you know.
Please.
If you remember last year, I came up and talked to you about the bus service to the hospital and how we've been working on that. And what we continued to do was work on the issue of
Yeah, Joe, get that on the,
Okay.
on the camera up above you.
transportation in the area. And we came up with this one, so we've continued to address that issue. And one of the things that we've been able to come up with is a map. What we've really been working on since last time we've met is the issue of transportation in Monroeville, which actually has a considerable amount of what's called transit deserts in this area, meaning that this map right here, as far as the access to public transportation in Monroeville, there are actually a large number of areas that where there isn't any access in Monroeville, and you're quite.
You remember,
familiar with-
Daniel, the Port Authority cut us back substantially on
Yes.
some of them because of the funding issues, as you
And,
well know.
and just to make sure you know, what my reason for coming up was to let you know that what we're working on is what the alternatives are to relying on
Please.
PAT. We've come up with a number of different access, and what we're hoping to put together sometime in the near future is a resource book for people who live in these areas where they don't have access to transportation, where maybe they can't get to work, where they maybe can't get to doctor's appointment, whatever, without having to walk maybe a half a mile to a bus. All of these areas here, and here are all areas where you're not within a half mile of a bus stop, meaning that access to transportation is extremely limited. So what I wanted to let you know, the reason we had this map made, the reason I am presenting today is to just let you know that what we are working on is a manual of sorts where we've been talking to a number of different places that offer transportation alternatives for people who live in areas where there may not be a bus nearby. So we wanted to let you know that this is what we're working on. Also, we were hoping to have for you today, we're working on putting together a survey for all the residents of Monroeville to find out where they're having limited, not just related to transportation, but just across the board, where they see as having the most definite needs. We were hoping to have that to present to you tonight. That hasn't quite worked out, but we are still working on it, and we hope by the next meeting to have copies sent to each of you so you can look it over and offer any changes that you'd like to see.
Maybe a suggestion,
Yes.
if you can maybe do a Reader's Digest version, maybe something you can put online so residents that do need public transportation
Yeah.
may, find the areas a lot easier. Maybe they know where everything is right now. I don't know that. I know we also have issues with the park and rides as well. I know that's very short here in Monroeville as well. So, maybe we can do something to help you get that word out online, if that would be okay, Tim. Maybe there'd be something they could do with that.
Well-
You have an issue with that?
No.
Now, what I'll do is, what I'll ask of the committee is, as we put this together, I'll send it to Mr. Little, and maybe he could,
Maybe you could work with him and with our IT
You have a business
person.
card, Dan, or anything?
not on me, but I will,
Give him your card.
I-
Take
oh,
Tim's
okay.
card, and that way you guys can contact him. Maybe you can work something with our IT.
If you want to
department.
email me, Dan, or anything
yeah,
here.
that would be great.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know what we're doing, and then
me
the
how many
survey
business
too,
cards I need.
I'll get it to all of you.
And then we can
just
put
to-
that out public.
And also, the survey is not going to be just about transportation. It's going to give an overall to let the people of Monroeville, let them know what their needs are whether it's, food or those kinds of things, so they can compile the information and come up with the next item to really focus upon for the benefit of the people of Monroeville.
Sounds good.
Right.
So,
And one last thing I wanted to, that's absolutely it. This map is by a guy named Joe Levito. Really, like I said, was put together. We're going to focus on helping people in these areas find out. It's really interesting that there are several options other than public transportation for people who are limited, and that's what we're hoping to get you information about.
Anything we can do to help, Daniel.
Great.
Good job, Dan. That's,
thank you,
very much.
Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'll open it up for anybody who would like to address council. And we'll close that portion of the meeting, but I do want to ask council if there's any comments they would like to make on some of the issues with public safety that was made out there. Well, I know I certainly would like to.
Well, I just want to say I'm very proud of our police department and our police force, and I stand behind them 100%.
Well, I'm going to do a little bit deeper in that, and that has to do with the recent incident down at the mall. Obviously, our speaker has no, and I have limited knowledge too, with called social media. We were one of about 4 or 5 other cities in the country that had the exact same issue. There was no intel on that. As the incident progressed, we certainly progressed with it, meaning the mall contacted our dispatch, and we certainly dispatched our officers as appropriate. The good news is there were no injuries. The other good news is there was very little or no damage, and it was handled very appropriately. And to be very honest with you, that's the first time in all the years I've lived in Monroeville that's ever happened, so it is an isolated incident, that type of issue. As far as the robberies go, if you look at just our topography of where we're at, easy access in and out, Cranberry, other areas, similar access, have the same exact problems we do. People come in, I wish I could predict when somebody's going to do something bad. We would get them off the street right away. That's just not possible. Obviously, if a person's intent on robbing or doing whatever, breaking and entering, until the crime happens, there's not a whole lot we can do as it happens. And the good news is, on those couple of incidences down at the mall, they were arrested within a very, very short time, and that is due to very good police work that we have. The other issue is that you're saying, it was stated that we changed a lot of the procedures. The only thing we changed is we put qualified chief back in and a qualified manager back in. That's the only real change. You got to remember, on the shift minimums, why we changed that, that's the chief. The chief should dictate how many he needs on a shift, not council. There's nobody up here as a police officer, except for on a former retired officer. But right now, he's not a cop. He don't know what is out there on the street. It's up to Doug Cole. And certainly I trust him, and I know this community has come out in huge numbers in favor of Doug. So, Doug, you do a great job, and I appreciate every one of our officers. And again, I have no issue with a resident putting information up, but please put it out appropriately. That's just my opinion on that issue. Do we take public safety as our number one? Well, I can assure you, this council, this mayor certainly does. Without people feeling safe in our community, there's no reason to live here, shop here, or play here. So,
Mayor, I don't mean to make Monroeville sound like an unsafe place,
it is not.
but things like this have been happening for 30 years. It's just the news media and how they put it out there to people. I mean, when the Palace Inn or Howard Johnson's was there, we had numerous hundreds of people fighting, guns involved. And night-turn police and the neighboring boroughs and the state police cleaned it up, and it was gone by morning. Everybody got up, and nobody knew a thing about it because the news media reported it differently. But it happened every year of my career, and it just in a different fashion. It's how they report it and what they perceive is to make news. I agree with Mr. Dice some months ago when he said, sometimes I think the news media doesn't report the news, they create it. And I'm not saying that wasn't a bad incident down there, but there are going to be situations where the bad guy's going to get off the turnpike and rob something, and there's not a thing anybody could do about it.
And one issue though, Ron, I do want to thank all the departments, and there were several that did come to mutual aid to Monroeville, and we provide that as well, so.
We as council, to the best of my knowledge, I don't know of anybody that has kept any resident in the dark of anything that goes on in this community. Short of building a 30-foot wall the whole way around here, I don't know how you keep all the bad guys out. And I think our police do a great job of that.
Thank you, I agree. Anybody else on council would like to make a comment?
Yeah, quite frankly, it's ill-advised, it's an ignorant statement. And I'll say this is the new guy to Monroeville. I moved my family here. We have one of the best police chiefs in Pennsylvania, running one of the finest police departments in Pennsylvania. Leave your political agenda at home. This is a good police department that does a great job.
Good statement.
Well, I was going to say the same, and everybody knows it is the season for politics, so it is what it is. Okay, we'll move on to our agenda, a proportion of the meeting, and Mr. Dice